Hi there, my name is Sarah, and I'm going to just be documenting um, my son's cancer story with you guys and hope that it helps other parents out there or gives you enlightenment into the horrible disease of pediatric cancer. Um, in mid to late September of 2016, my son was having heaviness in his chest and said it was hard to breathe, but he also said he was having heartburn. So, thinking that he was having allergies, we gave him his inhaler and a couple of Tums. He said he felt better. He went off to bed. This was a Saturday. Sunday, same situation. Inhaler, Tums. Monday morning, he woke up and he said that he was still having heartburn. So I decided to make an appointment with our local GP here in town where I live in Iowa. And was telling her the symptoms, and she, was feeling all around. And she's like, just for yucks and giggles, she's like, let's do a chest x-ray. Okay, cool. Whatever. Well, she got the results of that back the next day, and she said that there was a mass type thing in his mediastinum, but she wasn't sure if that was how he was born or if it was an infection or what it was. So she scheduled us for a CT scan, and we tried once in town here where I live, and they got the needle in, and he freaked out and blew out his vein. They were not going to try to access him with that IV. We had made an appointment to go to a different town, and those people tortured my son. They tried to get an IV on him 4 times. After that 4th time, we heard him screaming, "Stop it, stop it, stop it." We went into the room and told them to give him to us to let him go. I called back to his provider here in town, and we got it set up where they were going to give him a light sedative, and they were going to numb the area, and it was successful. We had those at we had that We had that CT scan done November 7th of 2016, and we had that done. It was like 9:30, 10 o'clock. My son's provider called at 1:30 and said she needed me to come back to the office to speak to me about the results. We all know when they call you in to talk to you about results of a test that it can't be good. So she was showing me everything. She said, "Sarah, he has a mass in his chest. It goes from right under his collarbone to right above his diaphragm." I looked at her and I asked her, I said, "Do you think it's cancer?" She could not be the know-all, do-all, say all of that. She said that all she knew is that I needed to get my son in the car and get him to Iowa City, which is a 3-hour drive from here. We got there at 10:30 at night. They admitted us through the emergency room where he did have to gain an IV access, and they put us up on the oncology floor. Fast forward to the next day, February 8th. They took him in for surgery. They placed a port. They did a bone marrow biopsy, and then they also did a biopsy of the mass that's in his chest. So he got a couple rounds of chemo in the hospital. He got some on the 8th and the 9th. They sent us home on the 10th because they said there was no sense waiting around in the hospital to find out exactly what we were looking at. 3 days after being home, they called me to inform me that my son had T-cell lymphoblastic lymphoma, and his treatment course would be 3.5 years. Okie doke, I can handle that. At least I thought so. We were in Iowa City 3 times a week and sometimes 4 times a week. In February of 2017, we went to the dance marathon, woohoo, for the kids. And we got to his clinic appointment the following week, and he was running a temp. It was 102.1, and they're just like, we need to keep him because he's got this fever. It turned out that he had contracted a fungal infection in his lungs. That was a 3-week hospital stay. It was scary. I mean, your child's running this high fever. You tell them. I looked at him. He looked so sick. And at this point, he was bald-headed. And I looked at him and I was like, you know, Drew, I was like, if you feel like letting go and going to wherever it is that you'll be happy and healthy, go for it. And he pulled through. That was the longest 3 weeks of my life. Then June happened, and he was talking about having a stomach ache, and we just kind of pushed it off as chemo reactions. And he said, no, it's not that, it's not that. Well, I told him to lay down in my bed. I had to go run a couple of errands, and I would be home. I got home, I checked his temp, it was 103.2. I got him in my car, and I took him straight to Iowa City. I called them on the way. I said, hey, Drew is coming in. He's got 103.2 temp. Are you admitting us through the ER? Yes, we're admitting you through the ER. Okay. By the time we got to Iowa City, to the emergency room, his temp was 104.9. They accessed his port. They got IV started, or, well, IV antibiotics, port antibiotics. It's all the same. And he was really, really sick. He was in the hospital for a month and a half. And again, I held his hand and I talked to him, and he's just like, Mom, I'm so tired. I was like, Drew, you are my light. You are my world. But if you need to go be with Grandma, go be with her. And there were a couple nights where we thought he wasn't going to make it through the night. But he did, and he's here. And he's semi-healthy. And he's got hair again. He just means the world to me, and I would give anything to take that from him. I feel like, is this something I did, you know, and nobody's been able to answer that. So we just had a recent hospital stay again. He got mucositis really bad and had to be on morphine and all kinds of antibiotics. Sorry, I'm crying. And we were there for 9 days, which is nothing. And looks amazing. He's put on 10 pounds. And I'm so proud of him. He is my hero. He's my champ. Kid gets poked when he gets his labs done here in town. And then he also gets his chest accessed once a month. I'm sorry, I'm crying. So, for everyone out there who is going through this with their children, I am so sorry. And if you ever need to talk to somebody, I'm always willing to listen. So with that being said, my hero is upstairs sleeping. And I just wish you guys all the best. And to any of you guys that have lost children to cancer, I'm so sorry. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and my next update won't be as sad. Thank you.